All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Blitz5, and I hope you guys are doing well. And welcome to episode number 45 of the Final Circle podcast and the first episode of 2021. So it's been a little while since we recorded one of these, so I figured I should do a short intro here, and there could be potentially new people listening to this episode or finding the YouTube channel for the first time. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory of what's going on here and why we're doing this. So I've been creating content on YouTube for an extremely long time, just as a hobby. And really, when we started playing PUBG, just as casual, very casual fans, when this launched on console, we wanted to do a podcast where we could talk about PUBG and also all the latest and greatest video game news. And then fast forward from being just a casual fan of the game, playing every once in a while, years later, I am full-time streaming PUBG, creating content for PUBG, and now a PUBG partner. So it's been a crazy whirlwind of events from then till now. And after a few life changes for both Andrew and myself, we've kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus on the podcast and hopefully bring it back more in 2021. And there's always PUBG news to go around because of just constant updates to the game. And a lot of interesting stuff is going on. And right now, there was actually some rumors about a potential for PUBG 2. So that kind of sparked the launch of this podcast. And we recorded this on the night of January 6, 2021. Little did we know that later that night, PUBG would bring into PUBG Labs a new mode with a thermal scope that they're testing in the test environment, which is PUBG Labs. And then on after that, in the morning of January 7th, when I'm recording this, PUBG has full on launched the test server on PC for update 10.2, bringing in new content, including this new two-door kind of hot rod style car into the game and a bunch of other stuff. And so kind of coincidence that we recorded this right before that. So we're not going to be talking about any of that stuff, but some of the things, including the PGI.S, were brought up in this episode. So if that kind of sounds like a foreign language to you, you have no idea what we're talking about, don't worry. We explain it in this episode. And if you're looking for information about the thermoscopes, update 10.2, I'm going to be playing a ton of PUBG, getting gameplay and information to make some videos on my channel. So it's going to be a busy few days and hopefully a ton of content to follow. So I hope you guys are doing well. Again, Happy New Year. I hope you're having a good start to the new year. And I hope you guys are enjoying gaming, whatever you're doing, if you're playing PUBG or something else. And I hope to see you guys on the Battlegrounds, whether it's on PC or console. So let's get into this episode. And yeah. All right, everybody. Welcome to episode number 45 of the Final Circle podcast. It's been a little while since Andrew and I have recorded one. And this is going to be our first episode of 2021, which is exciting. And we got a lot of PUBG news to talk about, some PUBG 2 rumors and leaks, and really just a lot of PUBG stuff to talk about. I can't even think of it all off the top of my head, but we got a kind of a lot of stuff to talk about in this episode. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. What do you want to start with, Andrew? You want to start with these leaks? Because it's kind of going to be a big portion of the episode, I think.
Yeah, I think the PUBG 2 thing is a good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, I know you were in the stream today when I was talking about it on stream. And, you know, as we get into this conversation, I'm trying to think about like kind of the fastest way to explain it because I have such a long-winded like explanation of it in the stream. I was trying to tell people like the whole history of PUBG because there's so many things that kind of lead into PUBG 2, why people want it, what's wrong with PUBG. You know, every time we talk about PUBG, I feel like it goes in circles. Like so many people bring up these issues and why weren't things fixed earlier? And that's why to me, sometimes I feel like it's worth to go through the whole history, but I also don't want to like bore people going through the whole history of PUBG, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's like a hard balance you got to figure out.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure, like, you know, it depends, I guess, how into PUBG you guys are. If you're listening to this, how much you know. If you've listened to my stream, you probably heard me kind of talk about it a lot. But I guess for the sake of just doing a little bit of background, not going too deep into it, you know, basically, like a lot of games, PUBG was in game preview. And I always say this, like PUBG was kind of almost kickstarted in a way, for lack of a better term to create the game. And that's why, you know, PUBG wasn't built with the best foundation. And when you say foundation, I kind of mean like the way the game was coded and the engine. And PUBG is using an outdated Unreal Engine. And before I get into this, I should say, like, I'm not a coder. I'm not a game designer. I just do a lot of research on PUBG. I've been fortunate enough to speak with people at PUBG about the game, how it was made, and I've got a lot of information out of that. But obviously, I'm speaking totally out of school here. Andrew has done some coding and kind of works and studies in that field, right? So like, you know more
Yeah.
about maybe that kind of stuff. I know you haven't like coded a video game, but you know some kind of stuff like that. Um, but basically, and at that core, that creates most of PUBG's problems. If you look at PUBG's loading problems, it's because the game isn't optimized all the way. The coding is weird. A big thing that people want, that me and Andrew talked about on the podcast a lot, is action queuing. When most games, like if you jump and then hit shoot, like the game kind of queues up that when you hit the ground, you want to shoot again. PUBG doesn't have that. So like a lot of times movements and different movements, like, from switching weapons to reloading and all that stuff can feel very clunky. The movement is clunky. And this is all because of the way the game was designed. Some of it's intentional, right? Like PUBG is not trying to be a run and gun shooter, but then other parts is because the game just wasn't optimized correctly and wasn't really built to the best of its ability. They built it in game. They probably started making PUBG in like 2015, right? And then it went into like,
Mhm.
it only launched in game preview in 2017. So this game's pretty old now, if you really think about it, since they first started developing it. And they had a pretty small team. I mean, there's like a million reasons why PUBG is where they are now. But in 2021, PUBG has made a ton of money, and a lot of people want PUBG to make a PUBG 2. And what does that mean? I don't think people want a completely different game. You made a great analogy of it today. They want PUBG to kind of do like a Windows update from like Windows 7 or Windows 8 to Windows 10. The same thing, but with a better engine or just completely overhauled, right? When you say that's kind of, people aren't looking for a different game. I don't think anybody
Yeah.
wants an actual PUBG 2. They just
No, I
want
don't think
they just
anyone
want a
really does.
game-changing update to it.
Yeah. They just want the like core update that everyone's looking for. I feel
Yeah.
like. I mean, maybe some people want a different game, but I don't know why I'd be playing PUBG at this point.
Yeah,
So many variations.
yeah, I just think that like the model now is so much better for that. Like there's not Apex Legends 2. They just make a new map and they rotate maps, right? There's no like there's no League of Legends 2 right now. It's just League of Legends. And then League of Legends has gone through so many different iterations. Like if you go look back at when it launched, it looked like the graphics were bad, the colors were different, and then like they actually had a time where actually League of Legends had the same issue. They had an outdated client that launched the game, and everyone complained like, "Can you guys please update the client?" And they kept being like, "Oh, we're not going to do it." And then
Yeah.
one season, they were like, "We're taking the client down or the game down for however long. I forget if it was like a day or a week." The game went down, and then relaunched with a new client, and the game was like the same. It was the same game, like you had all of your skins and your characters, but the game had different graphics, different colors, and it had a different client. So like that's what I think people want in PUBG. They want to open up the game, it be mostly the same, but on a different engine. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and play much better. But obviously that's a huge undertaking for PUBG.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, I don't think they would even have to take down the game completely. They would have to just like they could probably do it in other ways, like duplicate the servers and like have the new version on servers, and then what I mean, like everyone has to do an update, and then it'll push,
Push
stuff
out
like
that,
that. But
yeah.
I mean, I think like it's just hard because like they have so many so many people are asking for PUBG 2, and then they just have so many issues that they've even like admitted to with this version that like it's kind of like why like you keep on fixing an old car, like why don't you just buy a new one at this point, you know?
Yeah, it's actually a really good. That's actually a really good analogy. Like, it's obviously more expensive to buy a new car, but they've put so much time and effort into this old car. It is kind of weird why they wouldn't do it. And I guess to wrap up what I was saying to get people to understand what's going on with PUBG 2 is that the whole time PUBG has been saying that they won't do PUBG 2. A lot of the community managers have been telling people like, "Do you guys understand? Like that would be such a big undertaking. Like we're not doing it." I was on a call with PUBG with some of the developers. They said on that call that they weren't working on that. I wouldn't say that they specifically said they weren't, but they're like, that's not really that's not in the cards right now. So like, I don't know if that's just them trying to brush it off and then surprise us with a PUBG 2, or if they're really just being honest and saying like, that's just insane for us right now. And we're working on other stuff. And then I don't want to go too far off the topic right now, but PUBG is also like working on other games that aren't related to PUBG, which Andrew and I are going to talk about later in the episode. But like they are for sure using some of the profits off PUBG to work towards other games. So maybe like, is PUBG entering a stage where they're just going to be making updates? On one hand, people, if you're cynical, you might say like PUBG is just going to make cosmetics and make money, and that's it. On the other hand, I've heard people at PUBG say that they have a 10 and 20 year plan for PUBG, And you wouldn't have a 10-year or 20-year plan if you just were coming up with cosmetics the entire time, right? Like it had to
Well,
be
hopefully
more.
not.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Exactly. So I feel like that if you made it this far, you have like kind of a breadth of knowledge of like what's going on with PUBG. Like PUBG, they love the game. They want to update it. It's obviously a very big undertaking. They have long-term plans. They are trying to make other games. So like they have different motives and there's just a lot of stuff going on. And I guess the reason why PUBG 2 is such a hot topic, this is a great point to end on it, is that so
Mhm.
many players have left and even current players have been requesting it that like bigger than anything PUBG could do. Like any update, making it free to play, the biggest thing PUBG could do is say that they're making a new version. I feel like that's the number one thing that people want, really, right?
Yeah.
Is that. So that's why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's like too like there's like a mental block. Like no matter how good their season 11 is gonna be or whatever, so many people are just like, I don't care. Like I don't want to play PUBG the way it is, and like I want it to be the next version. Like they
So
need to
true.
update the engine. Like PCs shouldn't be crashing in games, like stuff like that. Like which happens in all games. But I think like for PUBG, it's just such a rampant issue. But like when there's a bug, it's like hard for them to fix. So, and just like the community waits for days and however long for bugs to be fixed. But like on a new system, this may not be the same issue. I don't know. It could be, but I feel like if you're like using an old version of an engine, like how long is that? It's like anything. Like how long is that going to be supported for by the company that puts that engine out? You know what I mean? They could be like in a year, be like, hey, we're not supporting this engine anymore. Like you gotta migrate off of it. And like PUBG's like F, like we have to, I don't know how that works for gaming, but it happens with stuff all the time.
That has
You
happened.
have to
Yeah.
update.
Hmm.
So, I don't know what the best decision is for them, but
Yeah.
I think like the long term plan, like they should be planning. I would hope to be like, we need to upgrade engines or something like for the long. If they have a 10 to 20 year plan, they ain't using the same engine for 10 to 20 years. I can tell you that much. Maybe
It,
even 5 years from now, I don't think they could be.
yeah. That's actually, those are two really good points. Both of those. I mean, I should say that also the reason why all this stuff got brought up is because Player IGN, who's a PUBG partner, and he leaks a lot. He's a content creator and leaks a lot of PUBG data. The reason why all this stuff blew up today was because he posted a tweet saying that PUBG confirmed that they've been working on a PUBG 2.0 and a PUBG Mobile 2.0. However, when you read the actual words, they were translated from Korean to English, and then also, so like you could have some things could be misconstrued, and then also it just says that they're in development of like a sequel to back up Battlegrounds Mobile and an authentic sequel for PC and console. So like, what does that mean? A sequel? Like nobody really knows what
Yeah.
that means. But basically, Player IGN said that it's PUBG 2, and I don't think that it's a full confirmation, but that's what started this like whole stir. But what you said about the
Yeah.
roadblock thing was so true, man. So many people I hear just like it's kind of sad, but it's gotten to the point where no matter what PUBG does, like they could come out with the coolest update ever, and people are just like, I don't I'm not interested until it's a different game or like a different version, you know? So it does
Yeah.
have that kind of bad stigma for some reason. And I think it's because of how many there's been times in PUBG's history where it's been like so unplayable as a game that I think they lost. There's some people who are very critical of that stuff. And obviously there's people like us where me and you played through me and you played through PUBG when we shouldn't have even played the game. Like it was a joke. It was like
Yeah.
playing a game your friend made. Like we would those were great times, but they were so frustrating. We would crash. I'm not even exaggerating. Like every single game, you would guaranteed crash 1 to 5 times a game. Like you multiple
Yeah.
crashes in each game. You couldn't get in. Remember, we couldn't even get into a party. That the party system
Yeah.
was broken. You'd get into a game, you'd crash a million times, but we were so addicted that we would play. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have stuck around because of that addiction and funness of the game. But so many people who are like, you see with Cyberpunk, like people are like, oh, I'm not playing the game because there's bugs. If you're one of those people, they're like, PUBG is obviously
Oh,
not going to be
yeah.
a good game for them. You know?
No, 100%. Even if yeah, even, like, today on the newest console or something, you're kind of like, "Man, no thanks."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We should say
It's
that. How's your experience been on Series X for PUBG? What do you think about
I've
it?
only I've crashed a handful of times,
Same. Yeah.
uh, which I mean, but, like, the nice thing is you load back in really quickly,
You load back in super
but that's
fast.
but that's not, like, a good thing, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, like, a good and a bad thing.
Hmm.
I mean, the frame rate stability is really nice. I think it needs to be a little bit more crisper. I think, like, it says 1080p, but there's times where I'm, like, looking at things and I'm like, "This looks not." You know what I mean? There's a lot of, like, weirdness to them.
Yeah,
Like, if
the
you look at a bridge,
visuals.
there's, like, a black line that moves. You're like, "What
Oh,
the
dude,
fuck
there's
is
so
that?"
many of those grids everywhere, and there's weird
Yeah.
like visuals that appear in the sky sometimes,
But that
and
could be, like, the old engine. Like, I don't I don't know. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I don't know what that is. I don't know, like, video games, like, stuff like that. But, I mean, like, there's times where I'm, like, looking at, like, a smoke grenade on the ground, and there's, like, a box around it. You know what I mean? I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
yeah, totally. It is kind of weird. I think well, it still is running off the One X version. If you have a Series X, it's running off the One X version, so it's actually not even
Yeah.
built for like Series X yet. And then on top of that, a lot of those like things at a distance is all the anti-aliasing that causes those issues, and
Mhm.
that's kind of weird. For lack of a like, someone asked me like, what is anti-aliasing? I mean, I could just Google it and probably give you like an actual definition. I don't know the hard definition of it. Well, it says it's in digital signal processing. Spatial anti-aliasing is a technique for minimizing the distortion of artifacts, representing a high resolution image. So
Mm.
all I know is that in game, anecdotally from my experience, like sometimes you'll look at a building off in the distance and it looks blurry and almost like it's shimmering, like a mirage, like it's not there, like it's moving or something.
Yeah.
And that is so bad with with the 60 frames on console. And but PUBG did say that they have a fix for it. They know how to fix it. Well, not 100%, but like they have a fix, but they're trying to figure out how to implement it without causing like worse performance and stuff like that. So hopefully that will get fixed, but that happened because they needed to turn the performance down to make the game playable at 60 frames. So that's not great. Um,
Yeah.
but and then you can kind of spin this conversation into, if they did make PUBG 2, would it be um, only for next gen, right? Could that be a way to like finally get off the old gen consoles? Like how are they going to do that, Who knows?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, including me, want to see PUBG eventually move off the OG Xbox because it's just holding them back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's good to be. I think that they just need to, like, end support there. You know what I mean? Like, in a couple months. I don't think it needs to be done until, like, it's accessible to everybody.
Same here. I mean, that would just be crazy if they did something like that. But like, I just can't see PUBG's like 5-year plan with the OG. Like the OG Xbox barely loads the game now. How in 2, 3, 4, 5 years is the OG Xbox going to be able to load PUBG? Unless it's
Yeah.
completely remade, or
Yeah.
even then, I mean, if you have in 2 years, the OG Xbox will be 10 years old, right?
7 years. Yeah.
Or 9 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. Yeah. That, like, this year is 8. It'll turn 8 this year. So, like, dude, it's old.
Exactly. So, I don't know.
It's old.
That's an interesting thing. I wonder if PUBG's ever going to, if they'll make a statement about this whole thing in the next like 6 months or whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of like, every game is facing that issue. And I know, like, even like people that did Warzone devs were like, the Xbox Series S is like kind of an issue because it's like, in like a few years that's going to hold us back from building out things more. But
Mm.
that's still years from
It's weird
now.
that the
But
Series S is
the lower version.
well, if you're playing PUBG on a Series S, it's playing on the Xbox One S version.
Yeah, it's
So
playing on the one. Yeah,
I was kind of surprised to hear that, and like I was kind of discouraged because I was playing with Hammer from the stream, and he had just gotten his One S, and he crashed twice in the end of PUBG, and that was a big bummer.
there's no reason. There's like no reason. Sorry, there's no reason they couldn't done a One X build on the S. To be honest with you, it's still way more powerful than the One X.
Yeah, it has to be, right? It has to be okay to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like, it's like the teraflops are lower, but it's not like teraflops only, like, it's kind of like the way you calculate things, but it's still way more powerful than the One X, to be honest. So I don't
Yeah.
know why they did that. I don't know
Well,
what the logic was there.
I mean, it
Maybe to
seems
play it safe, but obviously, I don't know.
yeah, I guess it's just like a temporary thing until they have until they have a designated like mode for those new platforms. And but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It must have been something internal that did that, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. But I mean, like, talking about, like, if we think, like, we'll go back to, like, the PUBG 2. thing. It's like, I would hope that if this is a thing, like that they make a lot of room, like if they built it from scratch for these performance issues to be cleared out, right? Like, wasn't their biggest thing is that they struggled to do these things because of, like I think you mentioned in your stream today, like the houses on Sandhawk were harder to load than the current ones. Like, well, if you're running on like a new engine and you're able to redo all these maps or whatever, port them over, you know, maybe this isn't as much of an issue as it is now because you have an overbloated thing. You know what I mean? Like you're loading more stuff in than you need to. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
don't really
well,
know for sure, but I'm just kind of like,
well, I know they're constantly always hitting. Like they said, there's like a point where like the reason why they crash so much is because they're hitting like an overload of load of memory cache and all that stuff, and they're constantly like hitting that. Anytime they implement new stuff into the game, they're just like running out of storage space for the game, I guess, or
yeah,
the internal
that's a
memory.
console issue, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and just how the way that I guess the game can only hold so much data or something like that. I guess so that's
yeah,
why like when they redid Sanhok, the buildings. So they said it's like the new buildings or Sanhok in general, new Sanhok. It may look better to you, but it's actually worse or costs them less in terms of memory. So like the buildings actually maybe have less detail than old Sanhok, so it helps the loading better. But the way they did it and the design of it, it helps should make it look better or
hmm,
more like modern, I guess, or 2020 graphics, but it's less demanding. And that's why they were basically remastering all the maps and stuff like that. And then Haven runs the best because A, it's the smallest, the least amount of players, and they obviously now have gotten much better with how they utilize memory and stuff like that. So like I was playing with Tom today, who has an OG Xbox, and he says he really doesn't have any issues on Haven, but then he played another map and it
yeah,
was like terrible. So
yeah, yeah. And Haven's small, so yeah,
yeah.
less players connected.
But what do
But
you think about? Unless you have something to say, I don't want to cut you off. But
no,
so what do you think? Like in in these leaks, they said that PUBG 2 could allegedly be being announced today because there is some kind of this not today this year because PUBG is working on something. They have this project. There's like a I forget what it's called, like Project Extreme or
XRTM or
something.
something.
Yeah, I think it's short for like Extreme.
Yeah,
So, and I was saying that this year, think about it, in a year, PUBG really does release a lot of content, and
yeah,
they do their major updates. It's going to be we're on season 10, we're going to have season 11, season 12, and then I guess season 13. So, right, 10, 11, 12, 13 would be 4 because 10 is going to take us into the to like March. And then in between
yeah.
them, they usually do a point 2 and a point 3, and who knows if maybe at some point they could do another one if they have the extra ability. But they're going to be who knows what they're going to be putting in. I can only think of a few things, and they already announced that they're going to be remastering Miramar and working on a new large map. So other than those things, like I wonder. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
If we'll see PUBG 2 or something like that, I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think of it this way. If Crafton Game Union is allegedly going public and doing an IPO in the second quarter of this year, right?
Mm.
And I would imagine that companies like Tencent, who buys a lot of gaming companies like Glue and all these other ones, and they already have
And they're
like the
involved with
PUBG
like
Mobile,
they're involved with like every gaming company. A lot of mobile
yeah,
companies like PUBG Mobile.
Activision, all that stuff. So I wouldn't doubt that they would buy a large portion of Crafton to own to get people on the board. And like even like a normal investor, like a holding company or whatever it may be, like a BlackRock, like when they look at like where is their revenue coming from, right? Like, well,
It's going to
obviously
show
it's
PUBG.
PUBG.
Yeah.
I think it's show PUBG and PUBG Mobile, right? And like
Mhm.
PUBG Mobile, I think I saw today is like 2.6 billion, which is amazing for a company. And then obviously PUBG does very well as well, so that will PC and console versions.
Yeah, I would imagine that PUBG
And
Mobile probably makes more, honestly, but it's more of like a
yeah,
worldwide game.
they could,
But who
but they
knows?
haven't had India in the picture for like 2 months, so
That's true.
I think they're fixing that. But so like, but then you say, okay, let me dive in, like how sustainable is this revenue? And they're gonna say, well, you send, you were there, like there's 10, 10 researchers, and it's like one of them happens to be a guy that plays video games, like, oh, I play video games, like let me look at the Steam chart. And he looks at the Steam chart and he goes, whoa, dude, like this went from, you know what I mean? Like the user count has just continuously gone down and like this and that. And like, you know, they start digging deeper and they start looking at all this stuff. Like they look at everything, you know, and I think that
Yeah, I can confirm that because I worked in that spot, dude. People who do research on companies for investing and for all that stuff, bro, they do. No one
dig
in the
deep, bro.
world does more research than them. I mean, that's why they
Dude.
know everything. You think they might
Yeah.
not know that stuff, but they'll hire a team. If they don't understand it, they'll hire a team to understand it, of like
Yeah.
hackers and
Like they're on
coders or
Twitter.
gamers. Like they know all that stuff
Yeah,
for
and they
sure.
like literally like they even hire like people like in my profession to like dig through like Twitter and like a whole bunch of like
Mhm.
weird data to like figure out like what's going on. Like so like all these things where people are like anecdotally like, "Oh, we want PUBG 2 or like people hate this in PUBG." Like, well, like your evidence is anecdotal. Like BlackRock doesn't take anecdotal evidence. They're going to dig in and they're going to say, dude, like here's your issues. Like they need to do this. And like when they go buy PUBG or whatever their stock, they're gonna be like, listen, like we own 10% of you now. So whatever you want to do could be out the window if we want it to be. You know what I mean? I think like these companies will look at them and be like, listen, like you need to figure out how to get this game to keep being a money churner. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's like
and if
it's
that's
their
getting
cash
PUBG
cow right
2,
now. Mhm.
yeah, and we think it's doing this, and then every this 20-year plan they could have could be just right out the window immediately. You know, I think people underestimate that in terms of like when you have like a board of directors, like the CEO could be the best dude in the world, but he answers to them. So, you know, I think that's like one thing why I would think that it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they were already kind of working on that. They were like, you know we have some trust issues or whatever it may be, but maybe doing this and updating and getting ready to be long term would be in our best interest. But I think that would be one reason they would kind of do it.
Yeah.
But I also still think that um, they may not do it. They may not be doing it. But like I don't. It's like kind of just like it's like you get burned by PUBG so many times. You're kind of like, well, I don't know. Like if I should put all my hope in this on this horse right now. So it's like I'll just wait and see what happens. But I don't think it would be like announced until the end of 2021. And to be honest with you, like even I would say that if it is being developed or it's being thought of, most people that work at PUBG would not even know it. I mean, like, yeah, like the head of design and all that stuff would like that, but
Mhm.
like, the community managers, they wouldn't share that information because there'd be leaks very quickly. You know what I mean? So you want to keep it as low as possible the amount of people that know about it, you know?
Yeah, and for sure, like I was saying on stream, there's so many there's actually a couple different studios that work on PUBG. So like there's an American team in Wisconsin in Madison that they worked on the Sanhok remaster, and I think they worked on Haven. But then you also have stuff still being built, and like the main HQ is still in South Korea. So like they could
Yeah.
have a team, like they could be like, okay, like Madison, well, you've been working on Haven and all that stuff. I don't know who did Paramo. I think Paramo might have been South Korea. Like South Korea could be working on, you know, PUBG 2 basically for all we know. So
Yeah.
you're right.
I mean, that's the
And they
thing.
could not even be like really sharing that information. I mean, I'm sure they would be all the up high people would know, but
Oh yeah.
you
Like
know,
the Brian Corrigans and all that stuff would probably have an idea or no.
yeah, I mean, even
I,
a lot of people could know. I mean, PUBG, I mean, Andy keeps a lot of, shout out to Andy, keeps a lot of secrets and stuff like that. So I think they could
yeah,
probably
but
keep it.
yeah. I mean, there's times where I get things and I'm like, whoa, we built this. You know what I mean? It's just like I
Mhm.
don't know. Like it's like
Yeah,
I feel like it's like how far in development are they that they would be like willing to
totally.
open up
That's
about it.
true. That's a good point.
I don't know. I mean, I think what kind of made me a little bit more hopeful was when like Player IGN was like, "Oh, the PUBG Lite team will be doing this, and then the PUBG
Mm.
Soul team will be doing the PC console." And I was like, "How would you know that?" You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that dude is so mysterious. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that kind of made me be like, he's getting information from something besides this article, because that article would never tell you X or Y. You know what
That
I
is,
mean?
yeah, that is true, man. I mean, I don't know, and it is interesting. I mean, the PUBG Lite, they stopped updating it, so yeah, and then PUBG on this whole time has been hiring more people and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, dude, two
and they're
point six
smart.
billion dollars is
People
no joke.
people try to like crap on gaming companies and PUBG, but first of all, I always say this: PUBG. With my experience talking to people at PUBG, they love the game. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's a few employees that probably don't even care, but like,
Yeah.
like every person, they're not that big of a company. Like they really care about the game and
Yeah.
act like it's so many people that got hired at the game legitimately were like, yeah, I played it, really liked it, and then like now I work for them. So it's
Yeah.
not just on accident why they showed up there. I kind of lost my train
Mhm.
of thought, but they
Yeah,
obviously
you're
want the
fine.
game. No, they want the game to be the best it can be. So like obviously
Yeah.
they're trying to, they want to make the best decisions. And even for them, like if your job is if PUBG does bad and then crashes, like okay, they might like the company might not do well and they could lose their job. Like everybody wants the game to more people to play and for it to be better. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you're
I I imagine there's some, like, dev sitting in his cubicle or open floor plan or home at this point
home, yeah.
that just sits there and just says every day, he's like, "We gotta get off this fucking engine," or like, "We gotta" you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, he's,
probably.
like, fixing something for the 80th time, and, like, I just know, like, how things get, like, even, like, what I do, like, stuff that we've built in, like, the past 2 years where it's like, we're already, like, questioning, like, we need to overhaul this because it's becoming like, you just add in a little bit here, you need to add in something here, we gotta fix this, and I'm like, your code just it looks like Frankenstein after a while, and you're like, all these things are just gluing things together, and you're like, I need to like, there's just, like I wanna spend, like, a week and just rewrite everything so it's clean and optimize and you know what I mean? And, like, obviously, this is on a way bigger scale for overhauling the game, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like cleaning your desk, like, you have all these new toys on your desk, but you can't use them because there's just shit that just looks terrible, so you gotta, like, organize it, you know what I mean? Like, make it optimal, like,
Yeah,
so you
that's
can reach your thing, do this, do
yeah.
that, like,
Yeah, true. But that's like the greatest difficult thing. I mean, the
it's
greatest problem of
not
all
hard
time.
it's
It's
the
like,
hardest thing to do.
yeah, because you're like, for them, they're like, we need to keep new content. We need to do this. Like, it's like, yeah, going back and like you're trying to maybe expand your house, but your whole house is dirty, but you like want to finish expanding the house, but you need to clean the house. Like, you don't know what to do first. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how,
Yeah, it's
that's like,
hard.
yeah.
But
So,
that's hopefully, like, why, like, why they would, like, be hiring a lot of people that's like, "Okay, you guys are gonna be training," and it takes time, like, you guys are gonna be training and maintaining, and these guys that have been working on this forever are gonna do this, and,
yeah.
I don't know, dude, it's be a part of being a company, they have to figure it out, and I don't think it's like if it doesn't happen this year, it's gonna have to happen in a few years. They're gonna have to do some major update eventually that's gonna change the face of the
Yeah.
game,
Or else it would
so
definitely like kind of start to fall through the cracks, right?
yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine like this like all this stuff being supported like forever. I don't know how that all works, but like there's like software that I write code with, and it's like you have to update this, and like there's times where I have to go change code to match that update because it doesn't support it anymore, and the rest of my company is like we're not going to support this either. And it's just the way the world works. Like if Microsoft says, "Oh, we're not going to support this programming anymore,"
Yeah.
then they're beat. You know what I mean? Like then they're like, "Well, we got to do it." And it's better to be ahead of that curve than be behind it. And find out like, "Oh, we have 4 months to do this." You
Totally.
know what I mean? That would suck.
Yeah, and then on top of all this, like Andrew said, PUBG is definitely getting ready to IPO, which means they're going to be listed on the stock exchange for people to invest in them. Then they'll be a public company, which would be a huge deal
Yeah, they'll have
for
so much funding from
for
that.
so much funding. And then also like the people that were in on the beginning will become legitimate like millionaires for that, right? Like if they had if
Yeah,
they gave them like stock options, I'm sure anybody that like was in the company in the beginning,
yeah,
they already made probably a ton of money, but like that's next level money when you IPO, like the founders of the company and stuff.
yeah,
So that's going to be a pretty crazy event, and I would definitely invest in PUBG. Let's go. But with
yeah. I
that,
would-
I was trying to explain this on the stream today that like quickly because I went through this in a pretty long form that like the way that gaming companies work is like for example with Call of Duty, you have Activision Blizzard, which is a giant
Mhm.
publisher that stands on top like just a big umbrella, and then under that, and they publish the game. So what does that mean? Like in
Yeah,
the easiest way to understand it would be back in the day, like a studio makes a game. Amazon funds that game. I mean, not Amazon. Activision would fund that game, help it get like
mhm.
printed, distributed to GameStop and everywhere else, and like they basically are doing all that kind of the back end stuff when the studio is like actually designing the game. And then so at Activision Blizzard, they own different studios like Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer Games, and
Yeah, they
so on and
bought
so
them all
forth.
out
Like
now.
all those different IPs. So then all those games are under Activision. Like EA has EA Games or EA Sports. They have Dice, which makes
Yeah,
Battlefield, so on and so forth. So PUBG is becoming one of those companies where they've made everything just under Krafton. I think they changed from Bluehole to Krafton. I mean, maybe somewhere there's
yeah,
still Bluehole, but now they're going under Krafton name. And then under that, they have like PUBG. And then they now have Striking Distance Studio, which is working on that game, and they're going to be publishing other games in the future. And they're making Thunder Tier 1, and who knows, they could be making other games that aren't even shooters. They're trying to become one of those big publishers now instead of just like a small studio that's making PUBG. So they are going
Yeah.
through a pretty big transformation, and IPOing is going to help that. And I wanted to mention that because I wanted to kind of talk about their game. Is it the Callisto Protocol? I think
Yeah. The
so.
game that was supposed to take place after PUBG in the PUBG universe and like whatever, and then you're like, what the hell? It's on Jupiter. That's
Yeah,
the
so
funniest thing I ever heard.
they started a studio called Striking Distance I just mentioned, and that is being
Mhm.
run by Glenn Schofield. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, and
Sounds familiar.
he worked at Sledgehammer Games. I think he co-founded it, which created Call of Duty, and or he either co-founded that or co-founded the studio that created Dead Space. So he's got two really big series like under his belt that he's
Yeah.
worked for, and he is the in charge of the studio. So they said
Yeah.
they were making this game that was going to be in the PUBG universe, and I got really excited thinking it was going to be like the story mode for PUBG. And it turns out that the Callisto Protocol, like Andrew said, is set in the distant future. Um, it looked more like a Dead Space game, like a horror game, and then he was interviewed by saying that like he wants to make the scariest game like ever made or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I had a hard time finding any kind of connection to PUBG there. Is it did anyone even say it's legitimately still in the universe? Like, is it really 1,000 years or 100 years in the
I don't
future? Like
know.
I
Yeah.
someone
Something
said
like
that in the
that. They
stream.
said it takes place after PUBG. Like, what, bro? Like, it's a different game. Just don't
Unless there's
don't use
unless
the
there's some
PUBG
kind of
name.
crazy tie-in that like we just haven't seen yet. I mean, that seems like I don't know why they even said it's in the PUBG universe, but
I don't know
I
either.
mean, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Unless we're missing something, which we easily could be. But I'm not gonna, I won't lie and say I was definitely disappointed because I thought a PUBG story mode would just be so good. And
Yeah.
I mean, imagine PUBG story 4-player co-op like Halo style. Maybe
Yeah.
people
I think it'd
don't
be dope.
care anymore, but I would.
Yeah.
I
Instead
would
of
play it.
like, yeah, I thought it'd be cool. I mean, I still don't know much about the game. Like, I know it got like a lot of people's attention, but I mean, at the same time, I don't think it's a game I'll ever be into, to be honest.
Well, we'll see. There's not that much info about it yet, but anyways, that's what it ended up being. So that was the other game they were working on, and then they have Prologue, which Brendan
Oh
Green,
God.
who created PUBG, he's player unknown. He's working on a game with the PUBG like special studio or something they're calling it out of the Netherlands, um,
Yeah.
and he is working on the game called Prologue, excuse me, Prologue, not Protocol.
Prologue. Yeah.
Um, and there was one little trailer released a long time ago of like
Yeah.
I think it was like just a scene in the woods, and
Yeah. I pulled
uh,
up the Twitter because I had to look at it
did
again.
anybody? I mean, I don't think there's been any news since.
No,
Um,
there has. The last tweet from the account was February 6, 2020. And it was like him saying, 6 years ago, I added a line of text to Battle Royale mod. Had nothing to do with the game. They
um,
really have not
yeah,
said anything since last
but
year.
but a
So, I
pro
mean, honestly,
but a prologue
that's.
kind of insinuates that it's going to be the prologue of a story would be the beginning or the origin of the story. So
Oh, no, it was just a retweet of Brendan
oh
Green's,
no, I'm
like,
just saying
saying, like, I
the
thought
name of
about.
that project to me
Oh,
suggests
yeah.
like it would be maybe the origins of PUBG, right? Like a backstory. But who
Yeah,
knows?
maybe.
Who knows what it's gonna be? I'm
I mean,
still
the fact that they
hoping.
haven't said it, tweeted a thing out in a year is kind of more like me, like just saying it's probably dead in the water.
I don't know.
But I
I
don't know.
mean, I wouldn't say that. I don't know. And then there's also rumors that PUBG was thinking about making or Prologue could be this or who knows. They like a game that's like true like more survival based, and you're seeing like Rust and all these games are blowing up right now. Like Escape from
Yeah,
Tarkov has been popular for a while, which is like a
yeah.
more hardcore survival version of PUBG. So some people are
Mhm.
thinking that like, or there was some rumors suggesting that PUBG might be going that way. But in any case, there are going to be some other kind of games that we're going to be seeing in the next 2 years from PUBG. So it will be interesting to see what happens with all this stuff.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I mean, it's a large company and they have different studios now, so I mean, it's good for them. I just, I think that they really like now they'll have access to a lot of funding once they go. Well, not a lot of funding, but they'll have a decent amount of funding when they IPO.
Hmm.
So I mean, there shouldn't be this like we can't do this, or you know what I mean, like, at that point, the revenue is there and stuff like that. So unless they're pumping it all like into this game prologue or whatever, which to me, I've ever heard any news about it in a year, like nothing.
It's kind of weird, right?
I'm just skeptical of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't,
I think they're
you know,
just I think they're just hiding it really well, but I'll be you could be skeptical, I'll be optimistic.
yeah. I mean, I think at this point now they're like, oh, we fit it so well that now Rust is out, and like all these other games, like fuck, like shit. We should have probably hurried up on this one.
You know what I
But
think is
yeah,
weird, dude? Is like PUBG did all this stuff with the backstory. Like they started introducing a backstory. When they redid Erangel, they put in like some lore videos and stuff. And then with Miramar, and then trying to think what other ones. Then Karkin had like a really deep story of like the battle bride chick, like her whole
yeah.
family got killed. And then with
And
Sanhok, they
Knock,
did the most with the Sanhok 4 or whatever, the 4 characters. And then
yeah,
they've been releasing stuff on their website that like isn't, I'm not seeing it like promoted a whole lot on social media, that has like flushed out the story, and I got to catch up on some of the reading. But like
yeah,
the stories, like, remember we were picking up DVDs in the game, like everything in game has just like come to a halt. And unless you're like me and constantly stay up on like PUBG data, if you're just the average player like logging into the game, like you don't know the story is continuing, and it doesn't look like they're doing as much. So I want to know what's going on with that, because I really thought that that was all leading up to the story mode. Like we're gonna keep
yeah,
giving you pieces of the story, and then like then we're gonna flush out the entire story with like a campaign mode. But now it's like, I wonder what's happening with that. Like, is that going to lead into one of these new games? Are they abandoning the story because it's just like not worth their time? Like, I have no idea. I wonder what the future of that will
yeah.
be.
I don't know. I don't. That's funny you mentioned the discs and stuff. I mean,
Remember
I
that
really
we'd
hope they're
pick
not
up
wasting
like
anyone's
like you
time
would
on
pick up
that.
all the discs, and then at a certain point, if you hit a certain amount, they would release a part of the video. Like you would watch a video about the story, and all that stuff's gone now. It's
Yeah,
been like
I
a
mean,
long ass time since they did that. I mean, maybe this is all part of like PUBG 2. I don't know, man. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know either. I just hope they're not wasting development time on that BS because they could be working on PUBG too.
Yeah.
You know,
So I guess I
that'd
guess
be like such a silly thing, but
so I guess
if they're not gonna follow through with that.
the craziest news that could happen would be PUBG announcing PUBG 2,
Hmm.
and it like in the next 6 months, right? That would just be insane news. Like that would be best case scenario, right? I guess.
I would say they probably do it before IPO, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
or after. I don't
Okay.
know.
But yeah, okay. So maybe the best case would be before or around the IPO news, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then worst case would be they're not even doing it at all. And then in
I think
that
they're just
case,
break people.
yeah. So that's like best case, worst case. Worst case, it's legitimately like a bad rumor, and it's not happening. And then that's worst case. And then best case is that it's happening really really soon. And then I think honestly, if it's happening like 2 years from now, I feel like that would be a bummer too, though.
It would be.
That would be kind of a
I
bummer.
see. My thing is that like, if it is happening, and I think this is really it, but like, if it is happening, cool. PUBG should confirm it. But if it isn't happening, I think PUBG should be on top of this and being like, listen, like this was just a rumor. It's not actually happening, and come out and say it, because honestly, if it goes on, I think this is gonna just
Right.
break
It,
people.
it, it could, dude. Honestly, though, it's kind of a good sign that they're not like I said, there was one of the community manager Hawkins did mention something like within the last 6 months saying that they're not working on PUBG 2, but I haven't seen anything new. So the fact that I haven't seen anything new is a good sign, I think.
But I
Um,
mean, it's not gonna like he's gonna say, yeah, we're working on PUBG too.
no, but no, but I
Like
think
he's
like
not allowed to say it
it
too.
I think they would deny it. They're probably would be quicker to deny it than to announce it. The fact that they're quiet, when PUBG's quiet, I feel like there's always something coming, you know. But
Yeah,
like
because they used
usually,
to be quiet,
yeah,
like too much. Yeah, but I think they've been better. So I would say like yeah, Hawkins would or someone would comment on it. I mean, but then again, you never know.
yeah. I'm like looking around Twitter right now. Um,
Yeah, I haven't seen him reply, but I mean, sometimes they just let things marinate, and it's just like, probably shouldn't let this marinate, bro. You should probably jump on this.
yeah,
But I mean, I don't know, because like if you let people just start running off and being like, well, they're not saying they're not doing it, they're not saying they're not doing it, and then like a year goes, 6 months go by, and people are like, whatever happened to that? I mean, maybe people will forget, but I don't know. I think a lot of people are just like, bro, burnt again.
Mm.
Like, and it's not even really PUBG's fault, but it is because they're not coming out and saying like clearly like this is not what we're doing.
Yeah,
But
a lot of people get their hopes up for stuff all the time when I'm like, dude, I just don't think that's happening. You know, like so many people still want like crossplay between PC and console, and like it's not gonna happen because of
yeah,
I mean it could anything's possible, but like people have been expecting that for like a year, and I'm like, that's not happening, you know? And sometimes
yeah,
I feel like PUBG should come out and just like say this stuff a little bit more. There's so many times where I have to like explain stuff in the stream like 1,000 times. And you know, I just feel like it would help if PUBG sent out some of those messages, you know, about like
yeah,
this is why, like, you know, even with the bots, remember that was bad, ranked, like they come out and don't really fully explain it to everybody, like this is what we're doing, you know.
yeah,
Or even the seasonal maps, man. People don't understand the seasonal maps at all. Like, you know, PUBG was just testing stuff, and they finally like some people tweeted that out, but it wasn't like mainly like widely distributed. Like some people are still triggered that they're spending time on these maps that are going away, you know, um, or that are just seasonal. But really, for them, it's been a big testing experience and was worth it. And they're small maps, so it wasn't as long development wise. And they elaborated on all that, and to me, it was a great explanation. But a lot of people
yeah.
don't know that.
Yeah, I know. And well, that's I guess why you're the PUBG partner, and you have to explain it to people. They don't have to.
Well, it's cool because they did tweet out some of the information. And then on the call, I did directly like ask that question. I was like, you know, it seems like you guys are doing this to test out new things and stuff. And they were like, yeah, that's exactly what we were doing. Blah blah blah. So it was cool to
Yeah,
be able to like, you know, talk to them about that.
yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, like, that's it's good. I mean, they have to try different things and stuff like that. But you know, I think it's always going to come down to like, you know, like to me is like the player base. Like, you know, what are they going to do? Like, you know, hopefully, like what they're saying about 2021 is like, oh, we're going to do these big things, big map design and stuff like that. But then they say something like Survivor, you know, or Survivor game and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh,
That
dude,
got brought
like
up today. That was interesting, man.
I
That
saw,
whole
oh yeah, I saw that, and
that
like it's just like, yeah, yeah, no, I don't know what to say, but like, you know,
dude, they came in
I
pretty
think
hot
that
with
like,
that. They came in pretty stern on that like that saying when we were on the call with them. And I
yeah,
was kind of surprised to hear it. I mean, I was also kind of happy because like I think PUBG is in a really sweet spot between like survival and shooting, but just and I said this on the stream like that to say that PUBG is a pure survival game, and I think Andy like clipped this. It's just like you can't really say. I mean, Vigor and all these other games, Rust and I don't
escape
even
from
know all those
Tarkov,
games. Like those games are like survival games. I mean, if you look at what PUBG has
Daisy,
done since it's came
yeah,
out, it's all been adding new weapons and vehicles and
yeah,
like there's no the only you know surviving is that you have one life. You know what I mean? There's really
yeah.
no like I
You
mean
want to make it to the end, but that's it's yeah,
yeah, but I like that though because I'm not all about looting, and I like that PUBG is like its own little sandbox thing. But you know, think about it. What PUBG really has going for itself is the length of game, which creates this whole narrative. Like every game's a story, and the unrivaled, like an unmatched gunplay in that game is just insane, right? Like the
yeah. Well,
recoil
that's the
control.
yeah. That's what I don't get. Like I think like to my point, like to the point of it, it's like man, maybe like the first one third of the game is survival. Like you got to loot and like you need to survive and be a little bit like crafty at times. But like you know, if you to me, it's like you have battlegrounds in the name. It's not survival grounds. I think Choco Taco may have said that, but like
Oh, really?
you
Yeah,
have like
Choco
this
Taco. He wrote actually a pretty good
whole
response about it. He
yeah,
and
and
he was
like
basically
you
saying
have
what
a
we're saying
circle.
now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like also like you have a circle that's drawing people together to fight. You know what I mean? Like you have to fight to survive. It's not like you're just going and making wicker baskets like you are in DayZ because you're in picking berries. You know what I mean? Like that's not the kind of survival. It's you know, it's a gun game that you need to survive to the end. Like you got to fight to survive. You know what I mean? And
Totally.
very rare like no one wins with 0 kills in that game.
Yeah, I mean you can, but it'd be like a
You know?
crazy. People have done it, but yeah,
It's
on
impossible
average,
next to
like you
impossible.
on average, you probably have like 2 or 3 kills every win, right? If you're playing a solo match, like you usually have to
Yeah.
kill more than one person and at least one to win.
Yeah, at least one. And then like you have this rank which is popular, at rank play, which is like, who can survive the best? It's like, no, who's like fighting? You have kill points and this and that. Like, I just think it was a weird stance for me,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least.
Because well, I part of it I understand. Well, like one aspect I get because some people do play it not to shoot. Like a great part about PUBG is there's so many people that play it that aren't good at shooters, and they're like, I just love kind of sneaking around and trying to survive in that like intense moment, the rush. And
Yeah.
like if the game was purely just shooting, it just wouldn't be the same. I always say this, like I love rank play because of the loot and stuff like that. And I don't like looting. Don't get me wrong. I hate looting. If you watch me play, like I don't even loot.
Well,
I
that's why
don't.
you like more loot because you don't have to spend more time looting.
Yeah. So I don't like looting, but I wouldn't want the game to just have like insane amount of loot because then it ruins the or spoils like some of the fun of the game. Like some of the fun of PUBG is not having enough stuff and then using guns like I was playing Haven before and I'm in a room and I only have like 5 seconds. I got to decide, do I want this like shotgun? Do I want like this gun? Like there's none of my favorite guns here. Like what am I picking up to like move on to the next room and not die? And at a certain
Yeah.
point, if you just want loot, like an insane amount of loot in every game, if you're one of those people that's like turn up the loot on every match, then like, why aren't you just playing Call of Duty where you spawn with a gun? Like your preferred, if you're only going to use one gun the entire time, then go play like Team Deathmatch where you can spawn with the same set every time. That's not really the point
Yeah.
of
No,
a
I
battle
agree with
royale.
that. I think like yeah, I think Choco Taco brought that up and he's like, you don't actually need to increase the loot, but increasing the meds and stuff like that.
Yeah, some other stuff would definitely help in increasing
Backpack
that.
would be nice.
Yeah, backpacks and well, and maybe I guess meds. You definitely want like I guess meds never hurt anybody because you're only going to carry a certain amount. Like I'm not going to carry 10 first aids, so just having more out there, I guess, is better. So you constantly have like what you need. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think like it's tough. But at the end of the day, like yeah, I think it would be a mistake if PUBG just thought they were like a straight up survival, hardcore survival game. That's just not right. It just doesn't
Yeah.
really make sense for the most part. And really, most of the people
Yeah.
that are here still playing the game are like good shooters.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone plays differently for sure, but I mean it's just the way it is. But like I think it's just hard to make a like clear line that says like this is X and this is Y. You know what I mean? And like we're clearly Y. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
but like I would say a majority of the player base isn't like just like into surviving. I think a lot right now at least
Mhm.
because the amount of players.
Yeah.
But like, I think a lot of people like more people would hot drop, I think you would tell, but I think most people want to like, loot for the first 5 minutes and then, get some kills, like, see some people or, I think that's the majority, but that's my opinion. I don't think it might not necessarily be true.
Yeah.
But
And
I don't know how they would know either, to be honest with you. I don't know how they would know, like unless they do like testing or like, what I mean, surveys a lot with random people. Unless they're counting those like happy face things, but
no, I don't think this way. I mean, I'm sure they're looking at like data of like how many, um, like the people that are playing, how new they are. Like they get some of that data and like maybe
yeah,
like how many kills they're getting in chicken dinner. And something that they bring up every time we're on this call is like we got to remember that like I'm not saying this just for myself, but like most people that stream the game and most of the PUBG partners, I'm not everybody, but if you're streaming, like you're most likely like a better player, right? And like you got to
yeah,
remember that like I've been playing the game so much every day that um like I don't even blink about getting like an 8 kill. If I get like 8 kills or something like that, like it doesn't even like really phase me. I don't really, my eyes don't really get like, unless it's a ranked match, but in a regular game, I don't like
yeah,
think it's a crazy match unless it's like over 10 kills. And then like when I first started playing, when I just got a kill or two, I was like amazed. And he was like, you guys gotta remember, you play the game like every day. Like there's still such a large portion of the player base that like just getting a kill or two a game is like really still exciting for them, of course, and it's easy to
yeah,
forget that like people aren't just running around getting that many kills every game. Like Choco, you're not everyone's Choco tacoing the lobby. You know what I mean? So you do have to remember that there are a lot of other players and play styles though. And then
yeah,
PUBG obviously sees that data and we kind of don't.
yeah. I agree. That makes sense.
So it's a kind of a good devil's advocate approach, but and what's interesting now that guy Dave who said all that stuff, his name is Dave Curd. He took over the creative director position for PUBG, and that's what
Mhm.
Brendan Green had. Like he invented PUBG, was creative director about pushing the
Yeah,
directive of creativity in the game. And now
yeah,
Dave Kurt's responsible for that. So he is like going to be responsible for what we see. And I think he was kind of one of the people behind like some of the new stuff in the game, like the loot truck and all that stuff. So, I mean, he does kind of have like control over, or not control, but like a say in that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
how PUBG progresses. And while we're on that, I should ask you, like, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about with Haven? Like showing Tom today. Tom is a friend of ours who we grew up with. That
Yeah.
one of my best friends, and he just doesn't play a lot of PUBG, and he hasn't played in a long time. And he played
Mhm.
today, and I was showing him Haven, and he hasn't played in like let's say a year and a half or something like that. So for him to go into Haven, I had to be like, oh yeah, there's a helicopter, but that's not in PUBG. Oh, there's a parachute, but it's only on this map. Oh, there's
Yeah.
the I was trying to explain to him like the AI thing, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of confusing for someone that hasn't played in forever. Like, what do you think about all that stuff in Haven? I think as a longtime PUBG player, it's really cool to have this like, it's kind of like a different game mode. But I wouldn't want to see it like on Erangel and stuff. Like, what do you think about all that stuff?
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's like nice changes. I mean, it goes down to like why are they like testing things and stuff like that and trying to figure it out, which is, sometimes you have to do it the way they're doing it. I think that my only concern would be is like they're pushing this like PvE type of gameplay,
Hmm.
which is good, I think, for the people. I mean, I just think like you're gonna drive a wedge more into people playing the games, right? Like you're like the more you make it like about PvP and less about PvE, or sorry, PvE versus PvP, like that's why rank exists, I guess, is for player versus player. But like you're gonna make more of like this split, like where people are gonna be like, I'm only playing rank, and then you have the people that are only gonna play PvP. You know what I mean? I think that's the only thing because they're gonna be less similar, if that makes sense.
They're gonna get farther and farther apart, kind of, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because they're gonna
Yeah,
have like none of that stuff in rank because it's just about gunfighting,
and
really, right?
and
And
only
then
humans, no bots or anything. Exactly.
yeah, so then you have this, and then you have the PvP, which is like a survival or PvE. Sorry, I'm going back and forth,
Yeah,
but
no,
like
I get
the
it.
environment stuff, and which I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't know how good it could be either, because it's just like you have an issue with like lobbies and stuff like that, and I'm hoping that's like kind of figured out a little bit, but I don't know. Like I don't maybe it may not have any impact in lobbies at all, but I just think like that would be my only concern. I like having the loot trucks. I like Haven and everything.
Do
I
you
think
go
it's
after the
important.
guards a lot, or you just kind of leave them alone?
I honestly haven't found the guard. I don't know where to go.
Oh,
I just
really?
think no, there's
Oh,
like
so
a
you really
smoke
haven't played
thing,
a
and
lot
there's
then if you haven't taken the guards out.
no, I haven't really played a lot. I mean, like
Oh,
when
okay.
I don't get like when I get to play, like I only get to play, a couple days a week and at night
And you're
or
playing, and a lot of times
during
you
the day.
guys are playing ranked, right?
Yeah, we just play rank because I just have more fun like shooting at people. You know what I mean? Like
But
I like
it
trying to
plays, but
like
it plays so much
get more
so
kills.
more different though. So like you're okay with it playing like for me, I don't mind because it's just ranked, but like it plays so slow and all your mistakes are like intensified because people are like better in ranked. It is fun because it's
Yeah,
better, but I feel like sometimes I enjoy going back to like playing casuals on stream because it's kind of it can be intense playing ranked.
yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it more. I think it's
Yeah.
like you get punished for doing stupid things, and like it makes you have to think a little bit more
Oh, for
than
sure. You
casual.
definitely do. That's why I'm like, for me, sometimes I definitely don't like playing it. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be like
Yeah,
going for crossbow kills and ranked, you know?
yeah. I mean, you could always use your alt account and play however you want, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's also a thing. But I mean, I don't know. Like the thing about with Haven, I was like, for me to play Haven, I need to up my sensitivity on like a lot because like I'd be in hallways and like I just feel like I'm slow because it's very close quartery combat and like my sensitivities are adjusted for like Erangel and Miramar. So like I feel like when I aim down sights or something, I'm like I can't like turn on people or
So,
what I
dude,
mean
I
because
feel
it's
like
just
when
so
I play
slow.
Haven, I over the shoulder so much more because my sensitivities are so low on console. So that's so
Yeah, I
true.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't want to change my sensitivities to be honest with you. I'm just like too lazy to do that.
Yeah. I get that.
So, but like I mean, I guess I could over the shoulder more, but I just this is like not like a habit I haven't really gotten into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really love Haven though, man. I went through like I played it a lot when it first came out, then I stopped playing for like a good portion of time. And now that I've been playing again, like
Yeah,
I mean, like anything, I can't play it forever or it's like I got to switch it up, but I love the vibe on that map to get in quick and like it's so great for using pistols and shotguns and crossbows and stuff that I think that part
yeah.
really makes it
I would
interesting.
I would like to see those like the building design and everything brought to Miramar when they finally remaster that, you know?
Yeah, they did a great way of doing of making like an urban environment. But then again, I just don't know if an urban environment would work on a bigger map because people just wouldn't spend their time there. Like I don't spend a lot of time like
Well, yeah.
in Los Leones. Like there's games where we decide like let's just spend the day the match in Los Leones. But for the most part, like I usually avoid the hell out of Los Leones because I just don't feel like rotating around it and getting killed by someone like camping. But because
Yeah.
Haven is literally just Los Angeles and that's it. And you're stuck there. Like you have to land in there. It makes
Yeah,
it like
I
this
mean, that's
really
true.
fun environment of like kind of sneaking through the tunnels and all that stuff. And I love it, man. I think it's a great map.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. You're right. That's a good point.
I
I
hope it,
guess it's just like to me, I want things to load in better. So it's
yeah.
like, which isn't really an issue on the Series X, except for when you're looking through like a four scope or something. It's like still Play-Doh, you know?
Yeah, dude, on Miramar, that I had a 15, I got a 15 time scope the other day in a match. It was either on, I forget if it was on Miramar or Erangel. And I was so
Mhm.
excited and everyone was laughing. They're like, dude, where did you find that 15 time scope? And yeah, I think it was Miramar. And I was like,
Yeah.
trying to, um, did I get the chicken dinner? Did I lose? I forget what happened. I think I got. Oh no, I won. I won that game. But I was like looking. It ended next to Minas Generalis. The circle ended over there, and I won. But I was trying to. I'm like, dude, I got on top of a mountain. I'm like, I want to get like 1,000 meter kill right now with the 15 time scope. Like, find someone that's like not moving, and I just couldn't even load in on any compounds. Like
Yeah.
I visually couldn't look at any compounds because nothing loaded in.
That's like the biggest like thing for me. Like that, like I don't know if that's something that when they can update to the
Yeah.
consoles and stuff like that again, but that's frustrating when you look at through a scope and you're like, it's just a
Yeah, even
like Play-Doh building.
well, what's
Like what the
frustrating is like
hell?
I get it if it's really far away, right? If I'm looking at something across the water on Arangel or something like to the military base, like I get it. That's pretty far distance. But if you're looking at something, sometimes you look at something that's not that far away, like just a couple 100 meters, and it doesn't load in. You're like, bro, that's not even that far, you know?
Yeah,
That's when it's like
you're
the
like you
most
see people like
frustrating.
running around. You're like, this looks so silly.
Yeah, it
They're
does.
like disappearing into the building, and it's like, is that the door? You know, I
Yeah, it's
think
crazy, dude.
that's just like an issue to me. Like,
Yeah.
because it's not even like it's not like a bad thing, but it's like I want to see if the doors open in a building down there for scoping it out. You know?
Oh, there's a lot of problems with that too. Like you scope in, it looks like the door's open or closed. Or how about the issue with like you zoom in on a tire, like you can like that issue where if you shoot a tire from like a really long distance, it won't even pop the tire. Or
Yeah.
there's like weird glitches like that. I don't know. There's a lot of issues with all that stuff at a
Shooting door.
distance.
I know, like the other day, it's like I was watching someone shoot a door and like the bottom broke, and then they went to go shoot the top, and the top wouldn't break. I'm like, why is the top half of that door indestructible? You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird issue.
Yeah. Was that at a
But I think
distance?
it's
I'm
just
sure
like,
it probably was, right? And it was probably creating some kind of issue.
yeah. But I was like, come on, dude. Come on now.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of strange. But for the most part, dude, we can like wrap this up soon. But are you still like I'm still enjoying PUBG for the most part. I mean, me and you are fortunate enough to be playing on the Series X, and if you have a great computer, you probably have like way less issues. But
yeah.
I don't play on PC that much. I did a lot when Haven came out, but I'm still having a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to like this recent update, 10.1. I mean, Haven was big, but a lot of people aren't really playing it as much as I thought.
Mhm.
And like, there's
Yeah.
no new like gun or anything, stuff like that. So hopefully, in these next
Yeah.
updates, we'll see some new features, and that should be coming in the next couple of weeks. But overall, I'm still having fun. I definitely in the last like 3 months, I think PUBG was really killing it with the content. So I never felt like anything was stale. But right now, I'm
Yeah.
definitely feeling like I need a little bit of like a hit of content right now for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Haven's great. I think Paramo is a great map too. You know, and I don't think it's stale, but I think like the esports stuff is like kind of like I kind of watch that more now, and I kind of
Mm.
think that keeps me into it, just because it's like something different and it's very intense, and that community is like kind of cool to follow. But like I think like in reality, like I'm a pretty simple person. I don't like buy a lot of the content or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think like,
No cow skins for you.
no, I didn't buy the cow skins. I'll buy like gun skins. I don't really care about like the
I know,
stuff
I know,
you
I know. It's
like
just
clothes.
you still do you get
But
the
like
battle passes or did you stop?
no, I don't buy them. I never completed them.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that. It makes sense. I guess it makes
I
sense.
just buy like the gun skins if I want them.
Gotcha.
Um, but like I think like the pick'em challenge and stuff like that, like doing that kind of kept me in it and everything, and
Yeah. What
like
about
it just seemed like that made it fun.
what's going on? Because I got into the some of the esports stuff for a little bit, but I haven't been following much. Like, what's the latest with all the esports stuff for PUBG? Like, what's going on? Did you say the next event is at the PGI.S, or is there something in between that, or
So now, yeah, the next event they did the PCS, which is like the
Continental
what is the
Series?
word?
Is that what it is?
Continental series, yeah, because obviously COVID. So now they're doing PJS, which is going to take place in South Korea.
Okay, I think it's
So,
gonna happen in February. So yeah, that I don't think there'd be
February,
anything before that,
yeah,
right? So
yeah, February 2nd, I think, is when it starts. I think so. That's like an 8-week tournament that they invited 32 teams from all over the world. To be honest with you, except for OCE, which was whatever. There's an issue there, but like so like 4 American teams and all that stuff, and that's like the invitational. So it's a weird format, and I'm not exactly sure exactly how it works. I know they have like an opening weekend, and then the first week there's like a challenge, like a qualifiers week. So they play like they do an opening weekend, and the teams play, and top 16 then jump into this, like everyone's ranked 1 through 32, and then the top 16 play in like the weekly challenge, and then if you get a chicken dinner, you're done, and then the 17th ranked team takes your place, and they keep playing, and then every team that gets a chicken dinner or whatever goes to the finals for the next
is
week.
that really what it is?
Yeah, and then
Huh.
like the finals week is like the 16 teams play, and whoever wins, wins some cash, and then like I think it resets after that,
Oh
and they do
wow.
it again, and like the winner of the whole thing is the one that's accumulated the most winnings in cash or something like that. So it's definitely a weird format. It's cool though too, because it's not like you could win one weekend, and these guys can walk away with a lot of money, which is nice, for them.
Yeah, it's
But
huge.
like at the time, like there's such an advantage on the like Asia teams because of just like the level of like support they have in gaming, and like they have orgs over there. The United States has like 2 orgs, like and they're not the same caliber. But it doesn't mean the players are any better. It's just they have a different levels of support. So I think like they're going over there with a disadvantage. I know like Korea has like weekly PGI, like PUBG Weekly, which is like a pro series. Like they play like have tournaments every week. So those dudes are like very fresh and like playing a lot competitively. And here in America, it's like the last thing they had was DreamHack, which was in early, like December, and it's like then now they're just chilling until PGI. You know what I mean? So it's just like any sport, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
but it's a good thing that they're still doing a lot of these events. Like I thought, like I heard someone say that the PUBG was not doing this stuff, but it seems like they're still going pretty full
Uh,
force on all this stuff, right?
yeah. So I listen. I like follow a lot of the team. Like I'm a big shoot to kill fan. People will make fun of me because I think it's like this a team that's like really good. They don't have an org. Like it's a small, like a good group of guys that like have played together for a while, and like they win. They're really good. They had some rough games, but they've like shown that they're good, and they're the only team that's going to PGIS, and they don't have an org behind them. So like there's 3 actually American orgs, but they're small. It's not like TSM, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
TSM is in
Like those,
Europe
yeah, one of
technically.
like the biggest teams for sure.
Yeah, like they could be like, there's no Dignitas, there's no 100 Thieves going to this kind of
Gotcha,
thing. There's no
gotcha.
Envy, and
Like those big
those teams were
orgs.
kind of, yeah, those teams were in the beginning, and I think PUBG kind of just did what PUBG does at that time.
And
So they exited, and these guys are going, so I support them. Like I like to like have that stuff, but like to me, it's like supporting a streamer. You know what I mean? Like they just don't really stream, so
mhm.
um but I think like they're
Some of
going
them do though, right?
and they can
Probably.
win some. What's that?
So a lot of those pro players probably do stream though themselves, right?
Oh yeah, these
Mhm.
guys don't. They're kind of whatever. Their coach streams, and I've mentioned him before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like but they were saying like to them, and I listened to this guy. He's a streamer, Fluxy. It starts with a P. I got like I don't know. I'll like tweet it out with this. He's like they have a weekly thing that they do called like Phase 10, which is usually like the coaches get together and like they talk about like the competitions, like American coaches. And they said like, like from what I've told, like, they're like very into it. And like I know that they have like PUBG is like very supportive of like these teams coming. Like they pay for everything, their hotel, their food, like they get three square meals a day, like all that kind of stuff. Like, they're like set, PUBG pays for it. So
Wow,
it's
that's
really
pretty
good that they
surprising
do
to hear
that.
that.
Yeah, I didn't think that. I thought they would. That's why I was like, how are you guys doing this? Like, don't you need an org to have the money to like get the hotel and like, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like bunking together? Like, you know what I mean? If you don't have an org, like, how do you afford to stay away for 8 weeks and like, you know what I mean? Like, but PUBG I think is like really trying to step up their game on the esports realm because I think like whether like because maybe like for some people it's streamers get them to play the game, but like and then there's other people that watch the esports and they're like, well, you know what, like this seems fun, this is competitive, like it's kind of cool, it gets people to play the game, so I think they're bold. There has to be a balance of those. So I think they're really stepping it up. And I know that they've said like communication from PUBG, which was like an issue in the past, like they have really good management on the esports end has been like really good too. So that's good news. You know what I mean? That's like good things to hear
Oh,
that they're like into
absolutely. I'm
this
kind
and
of
they really
surprised
are
by that, but
building it up.
it surprises me to hear it, but it doesn't surprise me that's PUBG because they, like I said before, PUBG really does a lot of awesome stuff. I mean, even look at the partners, like they've sent me so much stuff. I
Yeah.
can't even believe it. I was shocked that they sent me so much stuff. They
Oh
do a
yeah.
lot of great things, man. They're such an awesome company. So
Yeah, I think yeah, I was like shocked too. I was like, "What? They're gonna get you food and everything?" And I was like, "That's pretty cool."
yeah, that is. That's
But
great.
I think they've really kind of realized this, and like a lot of this is like I think part of like them having PJS is like a little bit of schmoozing these orgs and being like they need the orgs to come back. Like,
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like, how
and
good would it be to
they
have a
need
hundred of these
they
coming in
need
there? You
people
know what
who
I
will
mean?
dedicate the time to do these events to make them legitimate. So by them doing that, it helps keep it legitimate, right? For sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like it's really kind of like I'm sure what they do is they have these orgs there, their managers come and like or whatever. And then even like probably a representative from the org comes, like, the team manager or stuff, like, or the whatever. And they're probably there and they have meetings and stuff like that. I'm sure that all that kind of goes down at the same time, just not like player managers, but like, I don't know what you would call them, their business person, to be like, what would you guys like to see in PUBG that would help? Like to me, like I think it'd be awesome. And I've heard this mentioned before, so I'm stealing this idea. Like if they had like team skins in PUBG, like and they did revenue sharing with the teams for that. That would like get orgs in there, I feel like. But and I stole that idea from someone else. But like I think that'd be really cool. Like I would 100% buy SDK gun skins or like TSM gun skins or phase or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that'd be kind
Yeah,
of
that's
cool.
like League of Legends does that. There's like TSM skins and stuff. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Like people would buy them and then like what's the harm, like you're still getting money from them, and if they people don't buy them, like how long did it take, like and the teams can design them themselves. Like just like you just give them a pattern, like it's no different than the streamers like that they give. So,
100%.
I think
That's a
those are
great
some cool
idea.
things they could.
I could see PUBG doing
Yeah,
that though. That's pretty easy to implement. I could see them doing that.
but I think this is things that they wanted in the beginning or were promised like in 2018, and just like PUBG just
Never,
didn't follow through.
never did. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, but maybe things are different now. This is like to me, it's like a different PUBG. So
it
I
definitely
don't
is.
see it being possible. I
Yeah,
just hope it like gets these orgs in there and like gets people back on it.
totally. And it's kind of the theme of PUBG. A lot of the stuff is, it's like better late than never. But I prefer that. I'd rather it be late than never. But it's kind of like
Yeah,
PUBG with a lot of stuff, man. That's how a lot of things are.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You just hope it doesn't like make teams like never want to get back into it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
Like
mean, I
there
sure
could
some
be
people.
bridges that are never built again.
Yeah, there's probably some organizations that it's not even on their radar. Maybe for some people
Yeah,
it could be. PUBG does have a good place
possibly.
in a lot of people's hearts. So some people probably, you know, like want it to return, but then other people probably don't even care. So
Yeah, I mean, I would say like if you think I would say sorry, like I would think like it may break your heart and you really don't spend any money on the game. Imagine being like, I need to fund a team, pay salaries and all this stuff to get like to have a team, and they just burned me. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on that, and
yeah,
I would be like, dude, that could be, so that's I think what they have to figure out. But I think like having the strong esports scene does not hurt them at all. I think that's like a very helpful thing. Like it's a company that makes a ton of money. Like they can afford to pay out some of these things, the prize money, and they can afford the hotel rooms and all that stuff. So, I'm just glad that these guys get to compete. You know what I mean? And like it's something to watch. I just hope that they make a schedule on the website, bro. They suck at putting like the PCS schedules, all that stuff in like what teams are playing what day. Like they literally suck at doing it. It is
Yeah, I know
terrible
they
for
added
me.
a tab like on one of the things, but a lot of this stuff's just not easy to look at. And you're right. It's like I never see a lot of they'll tell you like this thing's happening, but you're right, like not what teams are playing. Like I wanna see like better just like, and you never know what account is gonna be tweeting it out or where the data is gonna be.
Yeah.
Like you definitely I wanna see the stuff and and I should be seeing because I follow PUBG and check like all those things. So definitely want to see more of that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. They do like they tweet stuff out, but then I'm digging through Twitter to find like the group stage of people who are
A hundred
playing or
percent.
whatever.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm like, that's fucking annoying. I
You're
think I was
like,
watching like scrims one time and like there was like the dude Jay Bowler is like in there. Or no, someone was in there. It's like one of the casters, and I was just like, "Yo, why is the PCS2 website still PCS1 or something like that?" And I was like, and
hmm.
he's like, "It should be updated." He looked, and he was like, "Oh wow." He's like, "Let me send someone a message." I was like, "Come on," you know what I mean? Like they're about to play group stages, and I'm like, I don't know who's in what group, what time they're playing. Like those are simple things. I just hope that's like good for PJS because like it's gonna be like it's South Korea, so the times are going to be weird. But like, people are 100% not going to watch it. They don't know what time it is. If it's like on the East, if you're in America, like I'm not going to get up at 3 a.m. for a chance to see a couple of the teams I want to see play.
Yeah, of course. Like and that's tough too because they're global events, so sometimes they're at weird times. That's a problem too. That not a problem, but like it's kind of
Yeah,
hard to track sometimes as well. You know.
yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I have faith, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then
I think
on yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I keep getting a little bit more into it every time, and I'm hoping to watch a little bit more, and especially this February, it sounds exciting. And then also, I know the PUBG console league is a completely kind of different thing, and like if you're a hardcore console stuff might not interest you, but the PUBG console league has definitely been growing a lot now that they're partnered with PUBG, and I saw that this year there's a 10K prize pool for this upcoming season for the PUBG
okay,
console league. So that's pretty
that's
cool. And
cool.
I don't want to, you know, announce anything too early, but like I might be getting involved with like helping them with stuff. And I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think it could be, I'm interested in, potentially like doing some stuff with them or maybe casting some of the events. So it could be happening this year. But we'll see. This year, 2021 is going to be an interesting year for me, and I have a baby on the way. So we'll see how everything
Yeah.
goes. But
Yeah, I had actually seen that. That's cool. I'm glad there's like some growth on that front.
yeah, they asked me. They're like, we're trying to expand. Like, do you want to be a part of it? You know, and I just gotta like get all the information. They have a pretty heavy schedule,
Mhm.
so I don't think I could
Yeah, they
commit
have
to
a
like,
lot of
it,
matches.
yeah, I don't think like to like every day, but
Yeah.
I definitely am interested in like partaking or participating in like a bunch of the events. So I think it's gonna happen. I think we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I think yeah, they definitely have a lot of like I remember I was like looking at their schedule or something. I was like, dude, there's so many matches. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's definitely a lot of matches. Um, but you know
So
they're doing
yeah,
their thing and they're doing a pretty good job and honestly they put that guys they put in a lot people behind the scenes are probably putting in a ton of work to get it to that point, so kudos to them, and there are a lot of
yeah,
console players that want to take that to like the next level, so it's kind of cool.
yeah. Imagine PUBG 2 though, merges PC and
Yeah,
console.
I guess
I
the
mean,
only
that's what they're doing it for Call of Duty is no longer based on a console. It's all
piece
PC
PC
now.
now, yeah.
PC and controller. I mean, it makes sense. I think it's just simpler. They don't have to worry about partnerships anymore.
Yeah.
And PCs are just superior, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of end of an era, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of sad because, like, in reality, like, what game? At the end of the day, eventually, like, even like Halo, like, what games would you really need to like play on console? you know, but they're still
Yeah,
using
but there's
controllers, so
still
that
just
sort
such a
of
big
makes the
console
PlayStation.
market. So, well, we'll see though. But
Yeah,
Call of Duty's in such a weird place because of the crossplay, and there's been a lot of issues with that recently, I think, and cheaters and all this stuff on there, even more so than
Yeah,
PUBG.
they have a lot of cheaters in Warzone. I know that, but they also do like hardware bans. I found out. I thought they were only doing like an IP ban, but they have banned hardware, which is a little bit more powerful, I would say, than doing an IP ban.
Um, yeah, well, first would be just banning that gamer tag, which like PUBG does a lot or suspends, but then PUBG for Xbox, I saw they did some like console bans. Isn't that crazy? They've been doing some That's pretty hardcore to get your whole Xbox banned. From that sucks.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, because that's it. Like, because it's like your every machine has like a MAC address, so it's like they banned that, not like just your IP. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
would
no,
just
for
be like
sure.
in your house.
Yeah, but I mean, if
So like
you're
you don't
like
have
constantly
to.
cheating, they F them, just ban the whole Xbox.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. I, I mean, they're trying. I think everyone has these issues with cheating. I've even seen like Valorant has been having cheaters, and they literally have like a software that you have to install on your computer to like play the game, to like scan your computer for cheating
Yeah, I
software. So
know.
like it's like super evasive. Like, and they still have issues. So I mean, everyone suffers from it. So it's like crazy to think that it's like only PUBG.
No,
Hard to like be
it's
like
it.
PUBG is really bad, but
No, it's definitely not. I mean, I watched a video from the average sniper today. He was talking about why he's playing PUBG again, and he was saying that like it's Warzone's actually got so bad with cheaters that like PUBG is better than like it's a better experience playing online for PC. It just goes to show you that no
really,
game's really got it under control, And
no, it's impossible. It's impossible, I think. And like they use like this third party site, and they're like third party company, a lot of companies, and like BattleNet or something like that. And
yeah,
it's an uphill battle. You need to like you gotta be. It's just impossible. Like someone's out there trying to break down what you built.
yeah,
And
and
there's hundreds of people.
as the video game industry grows, um, esports grows, streaming grows, like
Mhm.
the amount of people that will be willing to cheat, to get ahead or get viewers because they are playing better at the game is just going to get worse. So I hope that they can do some kind of back end things to
Yeah,
prevent that from happening. Right, they're like right now they're working on like more detection from like there should be like a certain amount of recoil, and like the fire pattern should only be this fast, or else like it's gonna make red flags. They're putting like kind of filters on the data, I guess, to do that. Um,
yeah,
that's like what PUBG is working on and stuff. So I guess if they can continue to make that like better and better for like anomalies and stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, honestly, to me, and I think I've said this before, they should load the data up of cheaters or whatever, and like do like there's like cackle competitions or whatever that are online that
Like
people
the
like.
competitions to like help them with like hackers and
Yeah,
cheaters
like
and
there's
stuff.
people. Yeah, like there's people that do like design like I had to do one for my final for my doctorate, and like it's like we didn't do great, but like there's people that literally like dedicate like most of their day, and like there's prizes for it. Like they say like, oh, we'll pay you $10,000 if you get the best results. Like okay, like we want they just want the model, so it's like
Yeah, it's
worth
great. It's
like
a great
having like
incentive. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's not that much money to PUBG to have some dude in his basement or like a bored PhD student do it. You know what I mean? Like and come up with something like really good. you know, you just put out your criteria and everything, and maybe they come up with something better than what you have, or maybe you can replace something with it.
Yeah, I feel like that would be awesome if they did something like that.
I don't think it's impossible, but like I've been doing like looking into the PUBG data to like look at like the telemetry files and stuff like that of like different teams and the PGS, and like being like, well, if they do this, like what's their probability of winning and stuff like that. So it's like it's all possible, dude. It's just you gotta have to provide the data.
Yeah, exactly. They just got
So
to get the data out, and well, I guess is there some risk to doing that though? Maybe they don't want to give out the data.
I mean, they
Um,
could. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what their data looks like on that end of what they
yeah,
have.
yeah. Um,
They'd have to. Yeah, maybe there is. I don't know.
but there you go, dude. I think we covered most of like the main
Yeah,
PUBG stuff. I see here that like PUBG is getting ready to relaunch in India, which is pretty cool. And I mean that's all the latest greatest information from cheating
yeah,
to esports to PUBG 2 rumors to the future of PUBG. Kind of interesting, like I guess state of the game podcast talk from us for like where PUBG's at. And then
Yeah.
this March will be 4 years since PUBG launched on PC. They officially launched on March 2017. And then this December would be 4 years since it launched on console. And I didn't start playing then, but um I guess yeah. So there you go. That's some big milestones for PUBG coming up.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Then PUBG will also the season 10 will be ending at the end of March. So we got the
Yeah. No.
PGIS, an update, end of the season at the end of March, and we'll see if there's any big news. Free to play, PUBG 2, big map news. We're definitely going to be hearing some of the big news is definitely going to be coming in this the first quarter, or by the end of the first quarter. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, hopefully we'll get some cool stuff,
Yeah,
I think
man.
we will, though.
Yeah, so I'm glad we got the podcast in, dude. Thanks for doing this, and hopefully we'll do some more in 2021 for sure. And anything else you want to end on?
No, that's it. I think we covered it. It's a long one, but we haven't done it in a while, so
Yeah, it was good.
maybe we can keep up with this.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the esports talk too, because I mean, maybe if people listening out there, like maybe you guys are really into it, maybe you're not. I'm trying to get into it, but I always forget to watch. So I think there's probably a lot of people that are in maybe the same boat, like PUBG would be interested, but like don't always remember. So we'll try to update you guys on all these events and remind people to check it out, and also make some reminders in the stream for people that might be interested. All right,
Yeah.
so
No, it was fun.
yeah. All right, everybody. So you guys can catch me live on Twitch pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. I stream on YouTube on Mondays sometimes. Skip this week though. And you can catch us on social media if you ever want to hit us up directly at Blitz5 on Twitter and at Cypher5AD, I think it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you ever have any topics for the podcast, and hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, everybody?
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming to the final circle for the first time in a while.
Yeah. All right, sounds good, man. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Peace.